So next Tuesday, November 5th, marks Election Day, where you'll have your choice of Kamala Harris, Democrat, or Donald Trump, Republican. You also have a choice of picking a independent candidate, but we're going to stick to the main two. And we're going to look at their policies, and I want you to decide who you want to vote for based on that policy. So that's the goal. Listen to the policies. Okay, I like this person because he or she gives me and my community what I want. So let's get to it. Welcome to Gerald Khalil's Conversation Piece. I share my thoughts on social content, sports, politics, and entertainment. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We're going to start off with inflation. So Kamala Harris said on day one that she would try to reduce food and housing costs for working families. She also said that she would ban price gouging on groceries and help first-time home buyers increase housing supply and raise the minimum wage. Okay, so one thing we want to mention is that inflation has soared under the Biden administration, but that was partly due to COVID supply issues, post-COVID supply issues, and also the Ukraine war. So things have fallen a little bit there since then. So, but still, with that, with what she wants to do, it can push up prices. Now, Trump, on the other hand, he promised to end inflation and make America affordable again. See what he did there, right? And when asked how he would do that, he said that he would want more drilling for oil, and that will lower the energy costs. He also promised to deliver lower interest rates, and that is something that presidents don't really control, right? But he also said that he would deport undocumented immigrants. It would ease the pressure on housing. So his thinking is that instead of the immigrants taking up the housing, deport them, and folks who do not have homes can be in that housing. So that's his method of creating more housing. And once again, with his idea there, especially with the situation where we're talking about the inflation piece, it will just push up prices. Okay, let's talk about taxes. So Harris, she wants to raise taxes on big business and Americans making $400,000 or more. She also is unveiling a number of measures that would ease the tax burden on families, including an expansion of child tax credits. Now, one thing I also want to mention is the corporate gains tax, and I want to give her some credit on this one. Now, the Biden administration, all right, and I shouldn't say the Biden administration, but more so Biden, because she's still part of his administration. But Biden, if he would have run again for president, he would have raised the corporate income, the corporate tax to 23.6 to 44.6%. That's a big increase. Kamala wants to raise it from 23.6% to 28%. So she still wants to raise it, but is much lower than what Biden was thinking of doing. Now, Trump, on the other hand, he proposes a number of tax cuts worth trillions, and this includes an extension of his 2017 tax cuts, which helped mostly the wealthy. He says that he will pay for them through higher growth and tariffs on imports. Now, analysts says that they say that both tax plans will add to the deficit. but Trump's will do more. So it's going to add both Kamala's policy idea and Trump's will add to the deficit, but Trump's is going to be even more for what he wants to do. Let's go to abortion. Now, this is central to Kamala's campaign. She continues to advocate for legislation that will enshrine reproductive rights nationwide. Now, Trump, on the other hand, he's struggled to find a consistent message on abortion. And it's kind of, with him, what's kind of odd on this is that he's, if you looked at the news the other day, he says he wants to protect women, and I know the Democrats are pushing hard back on that. Like, what do you mean you want to protect women? We can protect ourselves, which is all good. But Trump, when he was in office last time, he appointed 3 judges that overturned Roe and Wade. He did. So, and with that, it overturned the constitutional right to abortion. So it was then not federal. Now it was up to the states if they wanted to grant abortions. All right. So that one right there is real murky. Like, okay, Trump, where are you standing at? And to me, with the appointing of those 3 judges in his last presidency, tells you all you have to know with that one. Let's go to the next one. Immigration. So Harris, she was tasked with tackling the root causes of the southern border crisis, and she helped raise billions of dollars of private money to make regional investments aimed at stemming the flow north. All right, so now a record number of people have crossed Mexico by the end of 2023. Numbers have fallen since the end of that, but she's toughened up her stance, and she's emphasized that her experience as a prosecutor in California taking on human traffickers. So the Republicans will say that here she's flip-flopped, but this is her stance now. Trump, on the other hand, he's vowed to seal the border by completing the completion of the construction of a wall and increasing enforcement. And this is nothing new. He had that in his last presidency. So he's, once again, this is another part of his policy, pretty much central to his policies. He's urged Republicans to ditch a hardline cross-party immigration bill that Harris is backing. But she says that she revived the deal if elected. All right. He's also promised the biggest mass deportation of undocumented migrants in U.S. history. So that's Trump. That's what he's trying to do. He's that's very central to his stances is deportation and keeping illegal immigrants from coming into the country. Now we'll take a look at foreign policy. Harris has vowed to support Ukraine for as long as it takes. She has pledged that if she's elected, she will ensure that the U.S. and not China wins the competition for the 21st century. Now, if we talk about the Israelis and the Palestinians, she's been a longtime advocate of a 2-state solution, and she has called for an end of the war in Gaza. So she's been pretty consistent on that. Now, Trump, he wants to get away from conflicts in the world. So he wants the United States to be more isolated, and that's how he ran his last presidency. He wants the United States to be isolated and not involved in any of these conflicts. He said that he will end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours, and how he would do that, it will be through a negotiated settlement with Russia. Democrats don't like that. They feel that this would embolden Putin. Now, as far as the Israeli war, Trump said he is a staunch supporter of Israel, but he's have given little on how he would help in that war in Gaza. All right, we look at the next policy here is trade. So Harris, she criticized Trump's sweeping plan to impose tariffs on imports. Her belief is that by imposing these tariffs, it's just going to cost the American taxpayer, mainly the American tax-paying family, about $4,000 a year per household. Now, what she plans on doing is having a more targeted approach to taxing imports, mainly maintaining the tariffs that the Biden-Harris administration already have on the Chinese imports, such as electric vehicles. Trump, on the other hand, he's made tariffs a central pledge in his campaign. He proposed new 10 to 20% tariffs on most foreign goods, and he's going to impose higher ones on those from China. Also, he's promised to entice companies to stay in the U.S. to manufacture goods by giving them a lower rate of corporate tax. So let's pause right there on that one there. Now, doing that to keep American companies in America, I think that's a great thing, right? You think that will help hire more American folks, right? Because these companies that go to these foreign countries, they do that for tax purposes, so they don't have to pay as much taxes, and also that they can get a workforce that they don't have to pay as much. Us Americans, we cost too much to these corporations. Now, the thing is, though a good idea, does this policy expand? Meaning that if you are an American company, this means that you have to hire majority American people. Because a lot of these corporations don't do that. They're here in the United States, yet they hire overseas. And why do they do that? Cheaper labor for them. So it's good for those CEOs because they get to put more money in their pocket. But it's not good for us Americans because, hey, we're looking for opportunities. The opportunities are going overseas. So that policy there, I would love to know if it's expanded to also include the amount of foreign people that these corporations are going to hire, meaning the ones that are here in America. All right. All right, moving on. We look at climate. All right. Harris, as vice president, she helped pass the Inflation Reduction Act, which funneled hundreds of billions of dollars to renewable energy and electric vehicle tax credit and rebate programs. But she dropped her opposition to fracking, right? And if you don't know what fracking is, what it is a technique for recovering gas and oil opposed by environmentalists. Trump, on the other hand, he's rolled back hundreds of environmental protections, including limits on carbon dioxide emissions from power plants and vehicles. And he also vowed to expand Arctic drilling and attack electric cars. All right. Healthcare. So, Harris has been part of the White House administration, which has reduced prescription costs for drugs and capped insulin prices at $35, which is good. If you have that issue, you don't have to pay more than the $35. I do know the Affordable Care Act. She wants to maintain that, maybe tweak it a little bit. The reason why I mention that is because Trump, and you'll be surprised by this. Now, if you remember his last presidency, he was doing everything he could to get rid of that Affordable Care Act. And if you forget or don't know what the Affordable Care Act, that's Obamacare. All right, he did everything he could to get rid of it. Didn't work. But this campaign, right, he said that he would only improve it, all right, but he has not offered any specifics on that, right? He also called for a taxpayer-funded fertility treatment, but and yeah, that's what Trump he's offered. I don't know if that's going to get by Congress with the Republicans. Let's talk about law and order. All right, so Harris, she's tried to contrast her experience as a prosecutor with the fact that Trump has been convicted of crimes. Now, Trump has vowed to demolish drug cartels, crush gang violence, and rebuild Democratic-run cities that he says are overrun with crime. He says that he would use the military or the National Guard to tackle opponents he calls the enemy within, and radical left lunatics if they disrupt the election. So the Democrats have used that as a scare tactic for voting for Trump. They say, yo, he talks about the enemy within. And so I just take it as it is. I don't think, Trump, he'll say a lot of things, but don't necessarily mean it. So that's what he says there. The law and order, though, I wish Harris would have expanded her thoughts on what she would do for law and order, besides saying she would leverage her experience as a prosecutor. Guns. Harris has made preventing gun violence a key pledge, and she advocates for tighter laws. But I know what she wants to do. She wants to expand background checks and ban assault weapons, but she's going to need the help of Congress for that. Trump has positioned himself as a staunch defender of the Second Amendment and the constitutional right to bear arms. So that's been central in his campaign. So nothing surprising there by Trump. The last policy we want to talk about is marijuana. So Harris, she's called for the decriminalization of marijuana for recreational use. She says that too many people have been sent to prison for possession and points to disproportionate arrest numbers for Black and Latino men. Trump has also softened his approach and said it's time to end the needless arrests and incarcerations for adults of small amounts of marijuana for personal use. So let's talk about this here, and I want to more focus in on Kamala Harris here. Her critics has talked about her when she was a prosecutor in California, where they claimed 1,900 people were prosecuted by Kamala, and most of them were Latino or Black American. Well, the truth of the matter is that very few of those 1,900 people actually went to prison, actually served any time at all. So that right there is a kind of like a scare tactic, probably coming from the Republican side, and I know it's also coming from a lot of Black Americans who do not like Kamala. That's the first thing I say, look what she did in California. But that's not true. Not everyone. Only a small amount. I didn't have the percentage, but a small amount went to jail for that use. Now, also with that said, that was the Kamala then. This is the Kamala now, right? Just like Trump then and Trump now, because both sides it will be said that both sides are flip-flopping, right? But like, we have the right to say, you know what, I like Kamala's policies better than Trump's, or I like Trump's policies better than Kamala, so I'm going to go with him as opposed to her, or vice versa. They have the right to check and adjust, per se, their policies, what they did then and what they are doing now. The only thing is that because we're voting for them, make sure you stick to that policy at that time, and then don't go flip-flopping when you get into office. That's when it's detrimental to the people of America. So that's pretty much it there. Those are the major policies by both Trump and Kamala Harris. Go out and vote on policy. That's what I'm pushing. I've always pushed that. Doesn't matter their color, doesn't matter their gender. And I mean that for both sides. So people hear that, they mean, oh, you're talking about Kamala. No. I'm saying if you are a man, don't vote for Trump because because he's a man. All right. If you're a woman, don't vote for Kamala because she's a woman. If you are of color, don't vote for Kamala because you're of color. And also Trump. Don't vote for Trump because of your color. Right? We want to keep this policy. What is best for you? What is best for your community? All right. So please leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Give me your thoughts. Also, follow me on Twitter. See there my Twitter handle. And next week, Wednesday, I'll have another video posted. We will discuss the winner and loser, and we're gonna hone in more on the loser, why he or she didn't get elected. And also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Definitely don't forget that. And I will see you in the next one. Happy voting.